Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Relay Bitcoin podcast. Today with Jeff Booth. I'm super happy to speak to you today, Jeff. How are you?
Great, and great to see you, Julian.
Yeah, as always. And it's always good to speak to you, especially in these rough times, because rough times and like down markets, etc. Because A, you're super experienced. B, you are super realistic, but at the same time very optimistic and always looking into the long-term future. And the fundamentals haven't changed, right? So it's always encouraging, but also very insightful to speak to you. So I would like to make this podcast a little bit, because I know of like our users, our community, everyone is like wondering what is happening with Bitcoin price going down and get down even more. Sailor is selling all of a sudden. Like what is going on, right? So what is how are you thinking about that? How are you feeling right now in this kind of bear market?
Yeah, same as always. I'm watching adoption grow around the world, and I'm not talking about adoption measured in pieces of paper. I'm talking about adoption of the protocol and what's happening in the building of the protocol, and that is moving exactly as I would expect. Now it's moving through each person, trying to understand what Bitcoin is, and Bitcoin's repricing the world. So lots of those people are selling their Bitcoin for a treasury company, or selling their Bitcoin for an AI or liquidity challenges in the world. And there's so many reasons to be confused with what's happening, because say the majority of Bitcoiners are still measuring, even Bitcoiners are still measuring Bitcoin through an arbitrary piece of paper that's being debased. Right, so that would drive the confusion. But if you're measuring from the protocol and you're saying this decentralized secure protocol is repricing the world, and you're building onto that protocol now privacy and a layer 2 through Lightning, Arc, Spark, and everything that's happening. Nostr integration, VPN integration. Essentially, you're building an entirely new internet bounded by energy that's outside of that system I just described. And so it's each of our choice which system we want to be in. But people get scared because of the nonsense going on in the existing system, not because of what's happening in Bitcoin. And they're not close enough to what's happening in Bitcoin, because they're still measuring. To them, Bitcoin is a hedge against the existing system, or a way I can make a whole bunch of money. And so those people are really quick to go back to the other system as soon as there's a hotter trade.
I think that's what we're seeing now, especially the retail investors. Many of them really capitulating, because they feel like, I read a post today, like they promised this is going to be digital gold. They promised it's going to be an inflation hedge. They promised it's going to be also a hedge against macro and wars, for example, and instability of the fiat system that we are all seeing now, or against the arbitrary Wall Street manipulations, etc. And it's all not. It's not that. So that's why I'm. It's kind of along these lines is what I often read from retail investors now. So did we with they mean the Bitcoin community, I guess? Did we fail in that? Did Bitcoin fail as a hedge against inflation in digital gold?
No, I just don't. I don't think there's any There's no one group of. If you said you're a Bitcoiner, what does that mean? Because there's all different layers of Bitcoiners. At the bottom of the entire thing is our own agency. And why this is so hard, right? Why this is so hard is we can run a node, we can be in self-custodial Bitcoin, we can spend in it, we can accept it. We have all of those choices. In other words, we have complete agency to get out of the existing nonsense and move our energy and time into the new system. And from that new system, everything gets easier, because you're not measuring in the arbitrary piece of paper. But what do people do? They watch fear porn, right? They watch what Saylor's going to do, or this person's going to do, or Elon Musk is going to do, or how much money I can make in this stock trade, knowing that the entire foundation of the entire thing is a lie, is based on infinite monetary units that they don't control. And they're operating all of their time within that system.
Yeah.
So most people that are in ETFs or MicroStrategy or anything else actually aren't in Bitcoin. They're in a derivative instrument of Bitcoin and subject to the same rules of that infinite monetary machine. The only people that are in Bitcoin are the ones that are taking agency, running a node, self-custodying, and starting and spending more time in Bitcoin. And so but it's so hard on our brains to understand that, and it's easier if the system we're operating in serves you up a hero or an enemy. You don't want to believe it's you. But if your time is going into that other system, and it's easy to do because all of the news media, all of the social media, all of everything else is from that system, you can tell yourself a story. It's those people. Well, you're spending all of your time and energy in the same system that's stealing from you. So I'm not assigning blame or anything else. What I'm saying is this: it's really hard to face that we're the agent of change. It's really hard. It's easier to blame somebody else, look at somebody else, create that, and that fear of that system wants you to. It wants you to be. It doesn't want you to be sovereign. So there's always a scapegoat. There's always something else. You can expect all of this nonsense out of the system that's just being debased at a crazy rate, because it's the way to control you. But you don't have to, right? So people ask why I'm optimistic. Yeah, I'm optimistic for one reason. Bitcoin, if Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, it is repricing the world. Not might be. It is repricing everything. And why am I optimistic is because I'm a node in that system. The change, if any change to try to break it, has to go through me. And so you're a node in that system. I know thousands of other nodes in that system that are building a new world. And from that new spot, they don't care about what's happening over here. And so that's why I'm optimistic. I also understand that for it to be what we're saying, it can be for what I'm saying for me right now. I don't have to wait for the future. It's already happening. But for a lot of people that still have to make that change, they're wondering, when is it going to change? When they're the thing that changes.
Actually can change right now if you take
Right
agency.
now.
Yeah.
If everybody ran nodes, everybody took self-custody and started spending in it, the entire nonsense of the world would fall apart, and you would stop giving your control to everybody else and believing there was some external enemy. It happened right now. So the question isn't, when does it happen? Like, that's asking, when is everybody going to change? That's going to take a long time. A long time. That means it has to go through all of this nonsense as people realize they have agency. And until they realize they have agency, it still goes through all the nonsense. But you can just tune it out, completely tune it out, and take agency. So it's an individual accountability that the world starts to change for you when you see it. But you don't have to wait for everybody else.
You also spend a lot of time with like Wall Street and let's say big fiat money is also where you come from and where you have still network, and you're trying to bring them into Bitcoin, or them to understand Bitcoin, right? But so how does maybe the like just retail investors, normal people on the street that listen to us now, what do they need to understand in how the big money, the Wall Street, functions in terms of Bitcoin? Because there's a lot of activity now that many are excited about. Like BlackRock brought the ETF 2 years ago. Now we have MicroStrategy, now we have Stripe, we have all these big Bitcoin treasury companies that do also digital credit, and these new financial engineering like instruments, etc. SpaceX will do a huge IPO with 18,000 Bitcoin on the balance sheet. So really big companies are also starting to accumulate Bitcoin on the balance sheet. But what is different in their thinking to the normal people you just described that can just change through their agency.
So there's no difference. It's just an illusion of wealth on top of broken money. So SpaceX is supposed to go public at $1.5 trillion. You've never had something like that is being mandated into pension funds shortly afterwards. That, in other words, deceiving individual investors, forcing that into pension funds that has had that type of value with that type of losses. Never in history.
Yeah.
So essentially, you have this thing that's creating these massive losses, this hype machine from broken money, that because that hype machine, you can constantly do it and get more other people to feed it, right? Where does the money come from to pay for that? It has to come from the debt's run out. Like, people are starting to say, like, you're not going to make it, so you have to go public. OpenAI has to go public. So you're going to feed these narratives, and people are going to race in right at the top of this and be exit liquidity for a whole bunch of insiders that are selling their shares in a world that's gone mad, right? And so when you say big money, money is debt, right? Money is credit today. And credit can't allow the free market. So the big money comes from debasing money. And the staggering amount of money that comes from stealing from you and concentrating up just an illusion of everything must come from money that was lent into existence in the first place. Because the money that was lent into existence in the first place can't allow a free market. Right? What Bitcoin doesn't care about, it's repricing the whole nonsense. So if you have an illusion of money that can go on being made up more and more units forever, and that'll never stop, then that will control everybody through a very centralized network of all of the people at the top have all of the power and no one else does. And then they shut you off for money. And so it's wild to me that people can know this is happening. They know that money is debt, is just credit. They know that can't operate with the free market. They know Bitcoin, if it remains decentralized and secure, and they can take self-custody and be away from all of the nonsense, and it will reprice the world. And still they choose to accept an interest rate in the other system and give up their self-custody. Where does the interest come from? Where does the interest come from if the free market is deflationary? The interest comes from them. And the interest comes from them taking more risk and creating more units of money on top of a centralizing system. And so, and what I say, and I don't begrudge people, but these are pretty simple questions, right? And so each person is going to have to make that choice for themselves, what that looks like. And you can imagine why we get carried away with, I want to make more money in the system of debasement. And it's so natural. I expect this to happen over and over and over and over again. And people get wiped out over and over and over again until they realize they have agency.
And that actually the safe thing to do is nothing in this fiat system, but it's actually just getting out of this fiat system completely.
It's safer, more profitable. It feels better. Everything in your life starts to change if you stop racing after the hot money.
I feel like it just starts making sense again, because money used to make sense when it was bound to something, when it was kind of, at least there was some sort of, fixed asset based. It was not debased, right? It was at least gold. There was at least the notion of, okay, I have $100 on my bank account now, and in a few years I can pretty much buy the same thing with it, right? That this was still there. Now it feels like the whole fiat system is just gambling. You need to, with every dollar you get, you need to go to the casino in order to make sure it doesn't lose the value, because next year it has less value. So now you need to chase what you said, right? You need to chase the next day hype. You need to try to chase what is it, gold that will perform better, or will it be oil because of the wars, or is it going to be SpaceX or Anthropic going public, or OpenAI, right? You need to somehow make money all the time because the money devalues, and Bitcoin feels like this island where it's just again back to how money's supposed to be. There's only 21 million. There's not more. And if you have 0.1 Bitcoin, this is not changing, right? No one can print more of it. No one can take it away from you.
And because of the race for prices going up, people are often deceived into, I need more yield.
Yeah.
But think about gold, right? You mentioned gold, and it was a monetary base, and then you created broken money, essentially inflationary money on top of gold, where money just kept on expanding. How did it expand? Bank one, I'm going to give you a 2% interest rate, and I'm going to lend out your gold multiple times, very, very few times, and I should be safe unless everybody comes back and gets the gold at the same time. Bank two, I'm going to give you a 4% interest rate and lend out more gold. Bank three, 8% interest rate, I'm going to lend out more gold. Bank four, 15% interest rate, will lend out more gold. Everybody races to bank four, right? To take risk in something they know, and you increase money. And then when you've created this hype cycle, because you've increased monetary supply in the world, and everybody comes back to the gold, you get their gold, it's not there.
Yeah. There is no substance anymore.
What do you think is going to happen in Bitcoin? What do you think is exactly the same playbook?
It's the same, yeah.
Same playbook. And so what you see in these instruments is that instrument trying to centralize Bitcoin. What do you think is going to happen? And that's why I say, if you decentralization and security, which you have agency in, you can take action. You can make sure it stays decentralized and secure with your actions. But most of the people chasing this yield aren't part of the network. They're part of a derivative instrument. And when they go back to get their Bitcoin, it's not going to be there.
It's funny how many like critics or journalists and media are writing about Bitcoin as the bubble, while the absolute craziest bubble I've ever seen, and then maybe we have ever seen in the last century, is just this fiat system. I mean, if you look at these IPOs that are going to happen, and you're a tech entrepreneur by trade, right? So for decades, so I would be interested in your take in this. But for me, it's just absolutely completely wild what happened, not only to the IPOs but also to just the big tech companies. They are doubling and tripling at $1 trillion valuations. I think Nvidia has been close to 6 trillion in market cap, which is like 3 times more value than the whole farmland of Australia.
Yeah.
Like
I wrote something years ago that that a lot of people pick up in Bitcoin, but abundance and money creates scarcity everywhere else.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's all that's happening. If you're measuring from abundant money, things are feeling more and more scarce for you. Land feels scarce, Nvidia feels scarce, Google feels scarce, and everything. And then your oil feels scarce. And you're racing after things that are getting more and more scarce. Food, security, all of these things are getting more and more scarce because money is abundant.
Yeah.
Scarcity in money forces the free market to work. And scarcity in money creates abundance. So those are very simple concepts, but both absolutely true, right? So if you want to measure from infinite money growing, then you're going to be very confused with the chaos that's coming. You're going to be roadkill from the chaos that's coming. And no matter where you sit, right, even sitting at the top, your assets will be taken back by force from abundance and money. It always happens. Look through history. Abundance and money creates scarcity everywhere. Citizens rise up either through socialism or fascism and take back the assets and reprice that. So all of that system is unstable. Notice I haven't said it's a person's problem. There's no politics involved. There's no those bankers. It's us, right? We've never lived in a system that allowed you to claim your agency, that forced the free market to work. Because the free market is really simple. Prices fall. abundance grows, scarcity in money. But we've never had scarcity in money for any length of time, so we've always lived in a zero-sum game. And our brains can't understand what an infinite game would look like. We keep going back to the zero-sum game, trying to beat the other person from the same broken money.
And it will keep chasing, but if fiat money keeps changing scarcity, which absolutely makes sense, right? If you have something that is just keep on expanding and losing value, you're trying to find the most scarce thing, and something like SpaceX stock, something like Nvidia, Google, it seems, and oil, while the Strait of Hormuz is closed, etc. Seems
Houses, they seem like relatively good bets because everybody else is in the same bet. That it requires expansion of money. But that bet itself, like what ends up happening if let's say a technology company controls the world, do you think the country that it is going to let it to operate? It'll be taken back.
Yeah.
Let's say the housing, the neighborhood you have is the richest neighborhood in the world, like in the absolute world. Everybody else lives in poverty. Do you think it's going to stay like that? It's going to be taken back. When I say these assets are going to be, you have to have something outside of that system that cannot be taken back. You can hold words in your head. You can be in self-custody that it cannot be taken from you.
Yeah. And those who are playing this game of trying to find scarcity with their unlimited money, well, they will end up with, is it Nvidia, or is it Google, or is it gold, or is it oil? Well, they will end up with Bitcoin because it's the scarcest thing on Earth and in the universe, right? There is nothing else that is absolute, cannot be expanded or found or in any way, right? So they will eventually, everyone will end up understanding this, no?
Well, so that's the point. That's the point, and actually tied to my background in technology. If I think about this, the kind of the bubble that is in technology today versus the 2000 bubble, global crossing, 360 networks that were laying fiber, that were outrageously valued because the internet it was growing so fast and it needed fiber. And that precipitated the crash in 2000, March of 2000, that there was the exact same circular financing, exactly the same.
Like with AI, you mean now?
Exactly the same model. Like look back at these things, they rhyme really well. But it was an order of magnitude smaller.
Yeah.
And that took, some of the companies that got caught in it took 25 years to get back to their previous peak. 25 years through this. And Amazon at that time had dropped from, so we'd started a business in technology.com business, and it was grueling. It was because everybody said, this is over, the internet's over. Yeah. Amazon dropped from $126 to $3 in that same time period. But the internet wasn't over; it was moving straight up to the right. It was the bubble bursting. And so the same thing is happening. Why you're so positive, and why what you're doing at Relai to your audience, and trying to get them into self-custody and trying to get them to understand this is such a value to them. Is what we're talking about is still growing straight up, right? Watching companies in our portfolio growing like I cannot believe, in the same thing that people are saying is dead, because they're pricing it from fiat pieces of paper. They're pricing it from, and so you have like two very if you're not close to what you're saying, right? You're scared. You get scared. You sell it for a piece of paper. You're getting flushed out by Wall Street. You're getting you're panicking and you're selling instead of buying. What if instead of investing in Amazon before, what if you could have invested in the internet itself and had the value of every company accrue to you? That's what buying Bitcoin is today.
And it doesn't matter what is going to be built on top of it. Everything will be built on top of it, and many of these companies or products and whatever, many of them will fail, but you don't need to bet on any of these. And
you're betting on the productive capacity of the entire world is what you're betting on. And the only bet is if it stays decentralized and secure. And you can do your own work to understand that risk, but not just your own work. You can take agency. You can do it yourself. You
Yeah.
can, once you add your voice, you realize it's going to stay decentralized and secure because I'm part of the network.
Super interesting perspective, because in the internet you were not able to invest in the internet protocol itself. You can do Amazon, Google, whatever, but most of these internet companies didn't make it, of course, so this was very high risk, but you couldn't invest in the internet. Now in AI, the same. You can invest in Nvidia, which making the chips, you can invest in OpenAI and Anthropic, which are building the models, etc. But you cannot invest in the technology, in the AI.
And here's the thing.
And with
All,
Bitcoin you can.
all of those companies and the ones that aren't around today that'll explode into be other companies, all of them accrue to Bitcoin. All of the value accrued. The best AI investment on the planet is Bitcoin.
I'll explain that.
Because all of the productivity gains flow to Bitcoin. All of them, all the competition, all of it flows to Bitcoin. It's just not known yet because people are pricing it through a fiat system, and they're overpaying in these bubbles for AI investments. The AI is not going to look like Amazon. There's going to be a whole bunch of because there's no moat, right? The AI models are distributing really, really fast. It's not a moat like Amazon. It's not a moat like Google. These things, it's going to look more like electricity. And so people are betting on AI companies because they have a model of what the internet looked like, and the companies extracted all the value on top of the internet. But Bitcoin changes that model completely because all of the companies are in service of something that they have to compete on, a thing that's scarce value, a new internet being built from energy, and prices fall in that example.
And we can buy it now for less than 70K a coin.
In pieces of paper.
In piece of paper, yeah. But what I want to say is, like, I feel like I should buy more now. Thank you so much, Jeff, for your time. I know it's very short and valuable, so I really appreciate it. And yeah, see you very soon. Thank you for
See you in Prague.
Yeah, see you in Prague. Bye, Jeff. Thank you.
Bye.